Have you ever had one of those moments where reality itself seemed to wink at you? Maybe you were thinking of an old friend, and just then, they called you out of nowhere. Maybe you kept seeing the same number, over and over again, everywhere. You went on clocks, receipts, license plates, and phone numbers. Or maybe you found yourself walking into a completely new place, meeting a completely new person. And yet, everything about the moment felt like it was already planned. Like you were walking along a hidden thread you didn't even know was there. These moments, these strange, perfectly timed coincidences that defy logic, are what we call synchronicity. And if you've ever experienced them, you know they can shake you to your very core. This isn't just random chance. This feels like the universe itself is trying to send you a message. And today, you're about to discover why these experiences, what they really mean, and how they really mean, and how they may be shaping your entire life in ways you've never realized. By the end of this video, you won't just understand synchronicities, you'll see them everywhere, and you'll never look at life the same way again. So stay right here, because this is the last video you'll ever need about synchronicities. No fluff, no nonsense, just the raw truth. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, was the first to actually name this phenomenon synchronicity. He described it as a meaningful coincidences, events that aren't causally connected, but are connected through meaning. In other words, things that shouldn't have any logical relationship, yet somehow align in a way that feels deeply personal, as if reality itself has been just to show you something. Jung didn't believe these were mere accidents. To him, synchronicity was evidence of something far greater, an underlying order to the universe. A hidden pattern weaving everything together. And once you start to notice it, you realize what's happening your entire life. You've just been too distracted to pay attention. Think about it. How many times have you been thinking of someone right before they texted you? How often has the exact thing you needed just appeared in your life, almost magically at the exact moment you needed it most? How often do we call it luck or fate, when in reality it might be something much deeper? Some people will tell you it's just probability. With billions of people and billions of events, coincidences are bound to happen. But here's the problem. Probability doesn't explain the timing. Probability doesn't explain why the moment that matters most is when the coincidence happens. And probability definitely doesn't explain why synchronicities often come in waves, like the universe is hammering you with messages until you finally pay attention. But what if I told you that synchronicities are not random at all? What if they're part of a hidden language, a cosmic code that reality uses to guide you? What if every synchronicity is like a breadcrumb pulling you closer to your purpose? That's the idea we're about to dive deep into. And the deeper you go, the more you'll see that synchronicities aren't just strange moments. They are a fundamental part of how consciousness interacts with reality itself. Let's start with the most common type, repeating numbers. You've probably heard of angel numbers, 111, 222, 333, 444, and so on. At first it seems silly. Just numbers on a clock. But why do they appear at the exact moment you're asking a question, doubting yourself, or thinking about making a big decision? It's not about the numbers themselves, it's about the alignment of your attention with the message. Numbers are universal, so they're one of the easiest ways for reality to communicate with us. Jung himself noted that numbers often carry archetypal meaning, tapping into something that goes beyond culture or language. When you start to see repeating numbers, it's not about superstition, it's about alignment. Something in your life is syncing up, and reality is nudging you to notice. Now think about meeting the right person at the right time. Entire lives have been changed because two people happened to cross paths in ways that seemed completely impossible. You miss your train by 1 minute, end up waiting, and meet someone who changes your life. Was that random, or was something orchestrating events in the background? History is full of these moments. Some of the greatest discoveries, partnerships, and even revolutions began with a synchronicity, someone just happening to be in the right place at the right time. When you really think about it, synchronicity is how the world evolves. It's how creativity, love, and transformation actually take place. But here's where it gets even deeper. Synchronicities don't just happen outside you. They're connected to your inner state. Jung believed that synchronicities emerge when your inner world and the outer world align. In other words, when your subconscious is wrestling with something, reality mirrors it back to you in symbolic ways. You think you're just going through life, but life is actually reflecting back your inner journey. That's why synchronicities feel so personal. They're not random, they're mirrors of your own consciousness. Modern science has tried to explain this too. Quantum physics tells us that everything in the universe is connected through fields we can't see. At the deepest level, particles aren't separate, they're entangled. They can influence each other instantly, across vast distances, without any direct contact. What if synchronicities are the human experience of that entanglement? What if consciousness itself is quantum, able to sense patterns before they emerge, and synchronicities are the ripple effects of that hidden connection? Suddenly it doesn't sound so mystical. It sounds like science just hasn't caught up yet. But here's the truth that most people miss. Synchronicities don't just happen to you randomly. They happen when you're ready. Think about it. Have you noticed they often appear during moments of transition, growth, or deep questioning. When you're stuck, lost, or about to make a life-changing decision, that's when synchronicities flood your reality. Why? Because those are the moments when your awareness is open. Those are the moments when you're tuned in, searching for meaning, and reality responds. It gives you exactly the signs you need, right when you need them. But here's the catch: most people ignore them. They see the signs, but they brush them off as coincidence. They miss the message. And when you ignore the message, synchronicities don't stop. They get louder. They keep coming until you finally wake up. So here's the question: are you paying attention? Or are you sleepwalking through your own life, ignoring the signs the universe is screaming at you? Because once you start paying attention, everything changes. Life stops feeling random. You begin to see a hidden intelligence at work, weaving your path in ways you could never plan yourself. You stop forcing, and you start flowing. And that flow is where the magic happens. Some people will argue it's just your brain noticing patterns. And yes, the brain is wired to detect patterns. But here's what skeptics don't understand. Why do the patterns show up with perfect timing? Why do they carry deep personal meaning, often answering questions you didn't even voice out loud? Why do they guide you toward growth, transformation, and alignment? Pattern recognition doesn't explain that. Something else is happening. Something intelligence-based, something conscious. And if consciousness isn't just in your head but woven into reality itself, then synchronicities are the proof. Let me give you an example that might blow your mind. Jung once had a patient who was very rational, logical, and resistant to therapy. She kept dismissing everything he said. Then one day she told him about a dream she had of a golden scarab beetle. As she was telling this story, Jung heard a tapping on the window. He opened it and a scarab beetle flew into the room, the exact insect she had dreamed about. That moment cracked her open. It was so impossible, so perfect, that it broke her resistance and opened her up to healing. That's the power of synchronicity. It can pierce through the hardest barriers, because it speaks a language logic can't deny. And you've probably had your own scarab moments. Times when the universe delivered something so precise, so undeniable that it left you speechless. These moments are not accidents. They're invitations. Invitations to trust, to wake up, to align. The question is, do you accept the invitation? Or do you run back into the safety of it's just coincidence? Once you start accepting synchronicities, you enter into a dialogue with reality itself. You start noticing patterns everywhere. You start to see the interconnectedness of all things, and the more you notice, the more they appear. It's like tuning a radio. Once you're on the right frequency, the music plays louder and clearer. That's why people who are spiritually awake often report synchronicities happening constantly. It's not that the universe suddenly turned magical, it's that they tuned in to what was always there. Asterisk, and maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that synchronicities aren't rare at all. They've been happening to you every single day. You just haven't been awake enough to notice. Until now. So ask yourself right now, what synchronicity brought you to this video? Was it random scrolling, or was there a reason you landed here? Right now, hearing these words, maybe this isn't just another video. Maybe this is your scarab moment. And if it is, don't ignore it, because this isn't just the last video you'll ever need about synchronicities. This might be the first step into a completely new way of living. A life where nothing is random, everything is connected, and the universe itself is your guide.